Hey everybody, this is Troy over at Uncomfortable Truths. Thanks for checking me out. So today we're talking about President Biden because he has had an absolutely horrible week. Joe Biden has this week mixed up countries on opposite ends of the world, claimed to have recently spoken with somebody that has been dead since the mid 1990s, and has also had a report come out from the special counsel saying that we are not going to charge you, even though it does appear that you did mishandle classified documents. However, a jury wouldn't be able to find you mentally competent enough to say that this was intentional because you are a well meaning old man who just has a horrible memory. Well, this brings up a couple of questions. The first is, if this guy's memory is so bad that he can't be found guilty because we can't demonstrate that he was mentally able to actually commit this crime intentionally, then why is this guy in charge of the nuclear codes? Why is this guy in charge of handling a proxy war with a country that is a nuclear power and dealing with an extremely complicated issue in the Ukraine? Why is he in charge of negotiating things between Israel and Hamas? How is he dealing with the shipping crisis that's going on because the Houthis are attacking shipping vessels in the Red Sea? This is completely unacceptable. Now, forget running for re-election. The question with Joe Biden at this point is he mentally competent enough to finish out his current term, or does he need to be, kicked out and replaced? Because while I absolutely detest Kamala Harris, there is no question in my mind that Joe Biden is actually mentally incapable of really doing anything that involves politics at all. The guy doesn't seem to understand what's going on. He doesn't seem to know where he's at half of the time. Not only should Joe Biden not be president, Joe Biden shouldn't be allowed to drive. He shouldn't be allowed to take care of his own finances. He should be bouncing his grandkids on his knee, telling them made up stories about his life in politics, and just enjoying the last few years of his life. And if he needs some help, maybe he should be in an assisted living home. He should not be ruling over these issues as our commander in chief of the most complicated and most powerful military force the world has ever seen. Because that is a dangerous position for somebody who appears to have not just memory lapses, but maybe even full on dementia. It's unacceptable for this to be going on. And while the Democrats may be trying to convince people that no, there's nothing to see here, yeah, he just misspoke. Well, he misspeaks every time he opens his mouth. He can't get out a sentence without saying something incorrect. He just tried yelling at a bunch of reporters, and honestly, even that backfired on him. He went out to defend himself against this political problem that he's facing, which is people are concerned about his age and they're concerned about his mental fitness. And even when he was responding, things went even worse for him. So this guy is supposed to go out and represent the United States. He can't even defend himself in his own country to say that, yeah, look, I don't actually have dementia. I promise. He can't convince a significant portion of the citizens in his own country to get behind his mental fitness. How are we going to be taken seriously on the world stage? The other issue that I have with this is there is a significant chance, as much as I hate to admit it, that Biden does get reelected. If you are one of the major parties nominee in the general election, you've got a chance at winning. I do not want to see Joe Biden as president again. Now, I don't want to see Joe Biden as president even more if he's not mentally competent for the office. Now, the Democrats didn't even have debates. Joe Biden is ducking out of debates with Donald Trump right now. So, why are we pretending that this guy, who clearly has lost his edge, is mentally fit for president? Because I want to go to sleep knowing that even if it's a president in office that I happen to not agree with, that they are at least capable of making decisions that are based in our own current reality and not based on what they think might be happening from their entire life. You don't want somebody that has dementia actually in charge of the military. That should go without saying. So, as much as I might not like Kamala Harris, I 100% think that it would be completely acceptable for Kamala Harris to take over Joe Biden and finish out his term. And then the American people can decide whether or not they want to go ahead and elect Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, or one of the, third party candidates. But it's not okay for us to keep pretending that Joe Biden is okay, because he's not. Which brings me to kind of a mixed feeling when it comes to the election. Because I think that the Democrats running Joe Biden is an absolute gift to conservatives and to the right wing like myself. Joe Biden opens his mouth, and I think that more people rush to the right. They go, look, even if I don't like, conservatives, or even if I have issues with the conservative candidate, I don't like Donald Trump, whatever the case may be, they look at Biden, they just say, I can't do it. I can't have somebody who can't remember the names of the people that he's supposed to be negotiating with as the president. I can't have somebody who consistently talks about meeting with people that are dead as the president of the United States. This is a risk to our service members. This is a risk to the entire nation. So, yeah, on the one hand, it's wonderful that the Democrats want to go ahead and run Joe Biden from an election perspective. From a right wing, I want to see conservatives elected to office, and I want to see a Republican, I want to see Donald Trump take the presidency over the Democratic candidate. However, it's still absolutely horrible for the well-being of the entire country. So even though I would much rather run against Joe Biden than really almost anybody at this point, I do think that it's time for Joe Biden to step down. We need to invoke the 25th Amendment and say, look, Joe Biden is unfit for office. He can't be allowed to finish his term. It's too dangerous for the country, and it's too dangerous for our service members. He has to step down. And not only does he have to step down, he is not eligible for re-election at this point. Now, I'm not confident that this is going to happen. There's also, not a whole lot of time left in his term. So I guess on this front, since we have to take a principled stance, he is almost certainly going to be able to run for office, because the Democrats are not going to run somebody else, because the American public absolutely despises Kamala Harris. And honestly, the Democrats hold on to power literally until they are in the grave, as you can tell with, Dianne Feinstein. So while I do not think that it is likely that they are going to invoke the 25th Amendment, we do have a process for removing the president, and I do think we should absolutely begin that process. However, just as I would never under any circumstances want something to happen before that process has gone through its time, I do think we need to actually get ready for it. Because if Biden does win re-election, then I don't think that we actually want him to serve for the next 4 years, because he's already in his 80s now. And do you think that it's likely that he's going to, magically get better? He's magically going to not have these memory lapses? Of course not. That would be absolutely ridiculous. So I do think that we need to be ready and say, look, this guy isn't fit for office based on these comments, and we need to start getting the record straight on why Biden shouldn't be reelected. But then even if he is elected, we need to say, okay, well, it is important that we actually have a mentally competent person. Set politics and aside on this. We need to have somebody that doesn't have dementia to be in charge of our military. So anyway, everybody, I know that some of these gaffes seem funny, and well, they are. They're absolutely hilarious. This guy is supposedly talking to somebody that's been dead since 1996. But at the end of the day, this is putting our service members and all of us at risk. So I really hope that the Democrats do the right thing. They kick Joe out. They say, look, man, we're not supporting your run for re-election, but I don't think that's likely to happen. So it's super important that we beat him at the ballot. So everybody, go ahead, make sure you're registered to vote, and also hit like and subscribe. I appreciate the heck out of all of you, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care, everybody.